Hello, welcome to another edition of the Buddy Martin Show. This is Orange and Blue Bloods with Ben Troupe and the gang. It's going to be a tough night to sort things out. A lot of Gator fans are unhappy and a bit miserable about how things have gone for their team in Gainesville with all the defections. We'll talk about that and much more. Can we find any good news tonight to talk about? Help us out. Pastor Ben Troupe will be here, the ultimate sunshine pumper, Franz Beard, and Brendan Martin. So stay tuned. The Buddy Martin Show is now officially on the air. Tell your friends and neighbors to join us.
Time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Great athletes.
Our picture up. Good evening to you. Let's go right to the orange and blue room and see if we can round up Ben Troupe. Well, he skipped out for a second. So, good evening. Just a little hiccup to start with there. It's not a really great night in Gator Nation. It's just not a great night. It's the defection notification by Trevor Etienne has been upsetting to a lot of people. It wasn't a complete surprise, but it still stings. And at a time like this, when there are lots of clouds over Gainesville, a murky future, you're trying to find your way out of it. And no better way than to call on the pastor himself, Ben Troupe. It's hard to find much sunshine, but if there's anything there to find, Ben Troupe will find it. Good evening to you, Ben. How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. How's everything, sir?
Well, it's kind of a down day for Gator Nation, Ben, as you know. The news that Malin is in the portal and may come back if we get the right coaches. Etienne now is definitely gone. Not a shock. And we knew some of this was coming, and obviously this is a time when there's going to be shake-up and needs to be. But just give me your take off the top about what you heard and read today and where you are now, and where do we go from here, Ben?
Well, buddy, you remember I want to say a couple of years back, everybody was saying what was going to be the great equalizer when it comes to college football. Everybody thought it was NIL. And remember, you kept saying, no, I think it's going to be the portal. I think it's going to be the portal. Well, I think we're starting to see what happens when it comes to, teams that are traditionally powerhouses that's struggling. Trevor Etienne, his name came up as soon as everything, as soon as the season was over, his name was one of the ones. And I know Princely has decided to move on as well. This is the thing that people need to understand. Guys like Etienne, it's going to happen at other schools too. Just other schools right now still got a bowl game, and we don't really know what's going to happen. It hurts. It hurts. But, buddy, it's expected. I'm going to tell you why. When people ask, who's the most dangerous players on every team? The 4 and 5 stars. On every team. On every team. Because if the season, either individually or collectively, ain't going the way they want, they have options. Because they're going to have other teams that's going to reach out there and try to. But this is what it is, though, buddy. I'm going to tell you what it is, too, that people ain't talking about. How many games did we win with Etienne? Because he was on the team the whole time, right? Mm-hmm. Incredible player. Coming from that bloodline, right? But here's the thing. He has leverage, and he's using it. I guess because, buddy, I can kind of see the writing on the wall. Because this is the thing. They're going to attach their legacy with the team's success, and it's not happening the way they want to. It's ugly. It's ugly. I'm not going to say it's not ugly. It is. But I think people need to understand this. The reality of college football is the players with the most leverage are going to use it. The players with the most leverage are going to use it. There are big-time players all throughout the portal right now. All throughout. It's guys jumping ship on teams that nobody even – there are guys that had a good season last year. I think the thing about Etienne and Princely, why it shouldn't be a head scratcher is this. Those collective expectations that they want as a team, when they don't meet, you see how they already, they got rid of Corey Raymond, they got rid of Sean Spencer. Mm-hmm. Those players are looking around saying, look, man, you're getting rid of some of the heart and soul of this team, regardless of what
Princely said it depends on if they get what kind of coaches they hire, and come back, right?
And this is the thing. When you start talking about Sean Spencer, right? I get it that they didn't have – Princely still made, all SEC. I get it. But it ain't going to be too many coaches in college football going to have the pedigree or the resume that a Sean Spencer has. It just didn't translate. And I'm going to say this again. I don't care. Listen, I respect Princely. I respect Etienne. I respect Kamari Wilson. He's in the port. I respect Kamari, which that's for different reasons. But I will never, ever let a player blame coaches for what they control. You control between them lines. You control it. Brock Vandegrift, I think it's Brock Vandegrift that went to Georgia. He's already in the portal. They still in it. He's already in the portal to go to Kentucky. But what people need to know is this. It ain't NIL. I'm telling you, it is not NIL. Most of these players, and I know this, Robert Turner, most of these players are not getting NIL money like that. I'm telling you, NIL, while it does work, it's not working the way people think. This is a chess move. These guys are saying, hey, man, I ain't got but a year, 2 years left. Let's see what I'm going to do with these. Let's see what I'm going to do with my I'm not finna badmouth these players. And this notion of being what would you do if you were in their situation. I was in their situation. Coach Spurrier was there my first 2 years. He left. I could have jumped in. But I said this, look, man, I'm gonna ride this thing out. But for every Etienne, there's a Graham Mertz. And don't think Graham Mertz coming back just because he hurt. That's not true. This man, and he's a big time quarterback. Van Der, just know this, man, it's gonna hurt. But guess what? Florida gonna have just as much momentum as anybody else, getting guys coming out of high school and in the portal, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, Florida, Dan said, will Florida just hold a spot for Princely? Absolutely not. And I'm gonna tell you why. Let me help y'all understand this. When you leave to test the waters, and you come back, you're gonna have to earn your spot again. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you why. Right. I'm gonna tell you, well, buddy, it should be that way. I'm gonna tell you why. Look, Princely, Etienne, and whomever else, and I'm just using them because they're using their leverage. But guess what? There are guys who have leverage on the team and they stand. And what does it say to them when you come back? Like, they're going to welcome you back because we teammates, right? We teammates. Right. I get it. But, buddy, I'm sorry. The grass is only green in the fall, people. It ain't green. Go look at the grass right now. People are, it ain't. Most places in the country, it's snowing and cold, and you dealing with, the grass that turn whatever color. And like I said, I am not coming at these players. I'm just letting Gator Nation understand this is the reality all across college football. Every school is dealing with this right now. I want to say it's 6,000 players in there, but I'm gonna tell you another reason why they're gonna come back if they come back. I'm gonna tell you another reason why, buddy. It ain't gonna. Them options ain't what you think it is. Oh, when you jump in this is coming from a person who knows people in the portal. Or I know. I got friends who got like families in the portal. Let me tell you the reality of the portal. It ain't friendly.
I saw an accurate. Excuse me for interrupting you. I saw an accurate kid count today for the first time. I've heard anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000. Well, the Feinbaum show they had the number today. The exact number I got it here for you. It's 1,400 and something. That's what it is. It's gonna be even crazier by the time all this is said and done. Look,
I'm not disappointed anymore. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm disappointed if this is the first year of the portal. I'm like, we gonna see this. We only think this is happening because of what's going on in Florida. No, there are going to be players that are going to leave teams that's in bowl games, 3 year 6 bowls, national championships, or what may have you. And
Georgia, look at Georgia. What's going to happen? They probably have
and so, buddy, for me, and let's say this too, though. Look, this is another great factor. You don't think them boys can see who coming in here? You don't think they can see that class coming in? You don't think that you don't think that they can see, guys coming in, whether they legacy players? I'm just telling people, this is what makes the offseason in college football so compelling. You got coaches getting fired and moving on. Yeah. You got players transferring and moving on. This is what makes it so compelling. But if you are Billy Napier, you say to yourself, hey man, Princely's moving on. Trevor is moving on, right? I got to replace him. I'm looking for their replacement if they don't leave. Even if they don't leave, I got to have a guy on their roster as good as them to push them. Right? But they're gone, buddy. And like I said, NIL, I've read a bunch of stuff in the news this week. They got politicians trying to get players to make $30,000 a year in some type of trust fund. And let me tell you, could they say that's going to balance things out? No, it won't. That's not going to balance things out because the powers that be are going to be the powers that be no matter what. The time it take these other schools to get up to speed, they done went to the moon. So that's not going to do it. And like I said, if you make NIL beneficial for every single player, you don't got to pay them $30K.
Yeah. All right. Now, let me stop you 1 second here and say, let's take a temperature check. You're a very positive, upbeat person. Everybody loves to hear you come on here and talk, and you always find some kind of sunshine. But there's a lot of people out there who don't feel that way right now, and I get it.
Of course.
The other thing is that, let's be honest, the University of Florida could not and has not been forthcoming about what's going on. And there's a lot of talk about what the future might be for Scott Strickland. I heard today another report that there's some people very unhappy with him. He might go first before Billy. That's one. I can't tell you. I can't say that was fact. I can't tell you. I can't document it. It's just talk among some big boosters. So meanwhile, there's this pall that's cast over the Gator Nation today, which is tough after a 5-7 season. Let me just put a couple of them up. Here's the one attitude. Here's Smokey Gator says, 5-win team, who cares if anyone leaves? That's one way of looking at it, right? And here's Brandon who says, if the kids want to leave, so what? Okay, that's another way of looking at it. And then there's another one here. It's not Billy, it's every team, as you just said, right? And I think my favorite one is from Polo. This is from Polo right here. I get this. I hate life. So listen, just to finish the thought real quick.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of disconnection in this, Ben.
Yeah.
We know a little bit about it. We were with Gator Collective when they started, did a lot of things. We have a little knowledge, but not that much. And the average person has no knowledge about it.
Yeah.
The only people who know it are the money people. They get the inside information about everything. We don't know that. So we're kind of like waiting to see what's going to happen. Will the other shoe drop? What's going on here? And so that's created some anxieties. And Billy has not been forthcoming. And people say, what's going on with my team? They're losing players. But there's nobody up there saying, Ben, what you said. Well, look, you're losing them here and here and here and here too. So there's nobody out there speaking out and talking. There needs to be some kind of narrative besides what's out there right now, which is not a pretty picture. So this is maybe the most 3 or 4 critical weeks. I know it, maybe, for Billy Napier. I mean, I'm not sure he can turn it around. And I keep hearing narratives like this. This is from one website and all kinds of other, and they're mostly positive. But let me just read this to you. An absolutely catastrophic loss for Billy Napier in Florida. And while this isn't quite checkmate for Billy, it feels like, hold on a second, it feels like only a miracle can save him now. Interesting position. Another one is, fans say, damn, this one hurts. Lagway is probably the only reason Billy still has a job. So that's the mentality of Gator Nation, and it takes a while to turn that around. So I mean, he's looking like a guy who's in the ocean with one paddle. This gets to be more of a monumental task, and we're not hearing anything out of him or the school. It's just conjecture that we're talking about. So that's the problem that you have to deal with today. It's that feeling of Gator Nation, the mood, and the money people who are not happy. And by the way, the number is 1,420 in the portal as of this afternoon, 155 for the SEC. And as you pointed out, it's also, it's business. People are leveraging their position, trying to get better deals. And there's money being thrown out there, and even players getting paid to visit, and players getting paid to play in bowl games, etc. So, in general, college football is a damn mess.
It is, and I think, but that last statement you just made, it's a mess, right? And think about this, and we act like it's not. Like think about this for a second. Think about this. I don't know what's going to happen, right? But Florida State, Mike Norvell and Kirby Smart were supposed to do a press conference, and then Florida State is thinking about boycotting. They had to people. We are talking about 18 to 22-year-olds. What makes you think it's not going to be chaotic? See, the problem is, right, we're full-grown, tax-paying, healthcare having adults watching super-duper young, talented people make decisions. That's what we're watching, right? It's like this. Buddy Martin has grandchildren, right? Yes. You know what Buddy Martin's going to do if they come over? I got to have something for them to do. But I got to see them doing it. If they're not in his presence and he can't hear them, something is wrong. We get to see all this happening.
Silence is not a good thing.
It's not. And that's how all men, that's how all guys babysit. I don't care who it is. You better not be in that toilet. Just yell their name out as loud as you can and hope they ain't doing nothing nefarious. But maybe that's just how we did in the Troupe household. But I'm just saying. But what happens is, buddy, it's like this. Most of the time, we don't see how it's made. We don't see how college football is made. Mm-hmm. That's why we can speculate. Now we're watching it. We're watching it happen in real time, and we don't like it. Well, let me tell you why it's going to stay chaotic. You give young people leverage, they're going to use it. It's not supposed to make sense to us. But let me tell you what we would do. If Buddy Martin is at Florida right now, right, and Buddy Martin is a marquee player, as much as you love Florida, you got a different type of leverage, buddy. Everybody ain't working with the same leverage now. Princely and Etienne got more leverage than most of those guys on the team. Yeah. Let's not. But this is what we're talking about, though. What about the players who are pushed out? Some of these players are told we're not bringing you back. Now that's not Etienne. That's not Princely. But all I'm saying is, college football has always been chaotic. Billy Napier, think about this, people. Stop thinking that the 5 wins is the reason why this is happening. That's why y'all think it's happening? No. Georgia lost 1 game and they're already losing players. Because guess what? True. They ain't going to the net. So all I'm saying is I would love to. Now, the 5 wins helps, but it's not the sole reason. Etienne got a brother that's a superstar, 45 minutes up the road, who he could consult with. Hey, bro, what you gonna do? Right? Well, and people are saying, you telling me that he went to Florida because his brother played for Jacksonville? That's a part of it. Yeah, that's a part of it. But now it ain't going well. I am disappointed just like anybody else. But this is the perspective I have to take. Me being a former player and understanding that my voice is going to be different, my words are going to be different. I am not trying to sit here and act like if I was in this situation, I will make a different decision than I did when I was there. I just know that, man, I'm going to stick with my decision because if I go somewhere else, I may never be seen from or heard from again. I may never play again, right? So, and this is coming from a person that started 1 year. I just know that right now, buddy, yes, it's crazy. Yes, it's chaotic. Yes, it's ugly. But let me tell Gator Nation this. I'm going to tell you what would have sucked. Florida goes 10-3, 11-2. They in the New Year's Six Bowl. They thinking, I bet you ET would have stayed and Princely would have stayed. Not really. See, that's what we don't know. That's the $1 million question. Would they have stayed? We don't know. Right? But
I'm
just
confused,
saying, people
man.
get paid to play in bowl games, and they getting paid to come on visits. The crazy thing about it is, the people with the money, they got plenty of it. They can throw it around from now until Jesus come back. And I'm telling y'all, when it comes to the people with the money, the deep pocket people, they gonna let you know, look, man, we control college football. Who controls it? The faceless billionaires, millionaires, and boosters. That's who runs college football. Those are the same ones that said we are willing to give Jimbo Fisher 70-something million to go away because we can. But I'm telling y'all right here and right now, we're gonna be doing this every year from now on. These the same way Graham Mertz was great. To say he coming back, we're gonna have to deal with big time players leaving big time programs to go elsewhere from here on out, regardless of the record. Don't let the record fool you. Don't let the situation. It helps, but it's not the sole reason. So I'm on y'all side. I am with y'all, right? But the whole thing about it is, if you hit refresh on Twitter right now, you got a big time player hitting the transfer at a big school right now. They doing it every minute because you know what they're trying to get in front of? Early signing day. They trying to get in. That's about to happen next week.
I know.
They're trying to get in front of that. So I'm not mad at Etienne. I'm not even mad at Princely. I'm not mad at Kamari. I'm not mad at anybody who's going to leave because I think what they're using, buddy, they're using their leverage. And we're talking about non-quarterbacks, people. Quarterbacks can jump in. They can jump in any time. People want them. But, hey, I think that they're looking at what's coming in. They're looking at what hasn't gone on. And they're trying to make the best possible decision. But for Princely to say, depending on who they bring in, he'll come back, that welcome mat gonna look different if you come back. And it's supposed to, right? It's supposed to. You know? It's like, if I got a current job, and this is another job that's flirting with me, and Buddy Martin is my boss, and I'm telling Buddy Martin what he can do and how he can do it, because I'm thinking I'm gonna get the other job, not realizing they called Buddy. Hey, Buddy, man, how was it? I don't know how he gonna be with y'all, but he disrespected me. Sorry, man. You think when I go, Buddy, can I talk to you? What is it? Well, I can bring you back, but you got to go down in the mail room. You got to start. What? I don't
you
think
looked up my resume, didn't you? You folks saw my resume.
All I'm saying is, buddy, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I'm just as mad as everybody else. I don't want people to think I'm not. But at the same time, when Buddy Martin said, listen, if Buddy Martin say I'm a good writer, I'm a good writer because he's been in the business, right? I can't just say all kind of crazy stuff because it's like this. Remember, Buddy, when you just said, why won't Billy say anything? Because if I say something about one, I got to tell you about all of them. So I'm just not gonna say anything.
Got you.
And just because he knows that can of worms. Forget that's a can of snakes. That's a can of anacondas. If you open up, but I am not surprised. I'm surprised at the timing. I'm not surprised at the fact that it's happening because, like I say, buddy, we've all been 2021 before and had decisions to make. Not like this one, but hey, man, I wish him the best. But the whole thing about it is, what people don't tell you about that portal, the next team you go to, it better work because you don't get to do this twice. Only quarterbacks can jump in the portal 2 and 3 times. Players, they can't do that because at a certain point you just don't want to compete. But hey, man, shout out to those guys, man. We're going to say all the right things, but it's an E.J. Smith legacy is in the portal, and he's not coming to UF. Be patient and let Billy and his staff work. E.J. Smith ain't coming to Florida because he don't want to deal with that legacy of his daddy. So I can live with that, but it did hurt when Etienne, because Etienne made national news when he did it. That joke was on all the
There's a lot to talk about there, Ben. I'm going to take a break here. I'm here from our sponsor. And then I come back. I want you to look up the running back room and tell me what the depth situation is going to be with the running back. I've got a list of prospects Florida has offered in the portal. And Matt Quadraro did that story. He'll be joining us later on, talking about a young writer. It's good. He'll be joining us. We'll go with that list. And then somebody, I think it was Nick Della Torre over at On 3, did a breakdown of the half of Billy's first signing class is now in the portal. Now that's kind of interesting. So let's do all that. First, let's take a break, come back. Franz Beard will join us, help us on the running back room a little bit. What's left? We know obviously about Montrell. Let's discuss that. But first, let's hear from our friends at Meldon Law. Jeffrey Meldon, a lot of people are pretty excited about this basketball team, and the performance against Florida State and other games that they've had since really have put Florida squarely on the map. And this is a new bunch, very exciting players. I know you get a chance to watch them up close there. You sit right in there, right next to the coach. I got a feeling you're whispering plays to him, Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, it's really fun because I've been going to the basketball games for 35, 40 years now. And being able to sit in the front row behind the coach is kind of cool because you see him diagramming the plays and everything. Plus, you get to see the players. You know, these are young kids, 18 to 22-year-old kids. And I'm so impressed with the Gator basketball team.
Fun to watch. They got some good players, a lot of new names. Go and check them out. I was really impressed with what they did against Florida State. And some big guys, and they put the hammer down the Seminoles. Good start. Let's hope it's going to be an interesting season. If I don't talk to you again, have a happy holiday season. Jeffrey, look forward to a great 2024 and being together with you and your wife to celebrate some special occasions.
Yeah, and buddy, I want to tell our Gator fans out there that Todd Golden is the real deal. Okay. In 1 year, he's put together this really tall team that's going to out-rebound just about everybody that they play. They've got some great shooters. We got 3 or 4, guards in there that are awesome.
Yep.
And I predict that the Gators are going to be a ranked team by the end of the season, and that you wait and see. They're going to make some noise around March Madness.
Sounds exciting. You'll be right there to report from courtside. Give us the inside scoop, Jeffrey.
Yeah, and
Jeffrey Mellon, don't forget, on the 6th of January, it's the Kentucky comes to town. Jeffrey Mellon is giving away free T-shirts. Go to their Facebook page and find out what you can do to be a part of that. Ben Troupe is with us preaching tonight. Got a tent revival going on. I want to read to you, and we'll wait for Franz to help us out on the information about the running back room, which I think you've got some too. And let's talk about, here are the players. When you group these things together and put them like this, it has a little bit more impact. You think, oh my gosh. Now, some of these weren't right, I don't think. But anyway, here's what the list is. The players who have left the transfer portal who were on the Billy's first signing class. Kamari Wilson, Shamar James, that one hurt. Chris McCullum, Devin Moore, Trevor Etienne, Caleb Douglas, Artis Boardingham, Jack Piper. I thought he was hurt. I didn't know he was in it. Jalen Farmer, Andrew, I can't pronounce his last name, Sabalania, whatever that is, David Connor, Miguel Mitchell, Max Brown, Christian Williams, Hayden Hanson, Jordan Herman, Ty Bowman, Tony Livingston, Taraja Mitchell. Now, I've got Trace Mack's name on this list, but it's not correct, according to what Matt told me about that. So that's a lot. Now, in fairness, Ben, if you took the same thing and you went to Miami and said how many of their first recruiting class is gone, you see a list probably equally as big or better. But anyway, that's just one way of looking at it, Ben. Now, talking about running backs, one thing about Travis Etienne was they criticized, Trevor Etienne, was his pass blocking. He had some issues in pass blocking. I'm not sure what that role, how much that played. I guess it played some role because if you're going to pass the ball and your running back can't block, got a problem. So what do you got there? We'll bring Franz in here. Tell me who's in that running back room. All right, Ben, you got to turn on. You lost. We don't hear you.
I'm sorry about that. You got Montreal. I think you still got Trayon, Webb. I mean, it's. I think you got the kid from Memphis. You still got some. You still got some depth. I think the thing about it is, buddy, man, it's when you start going through that list. I think even with the running backs, and you talk about Arlis, you talk about Haiti, you talk about Caleb Douglas, you talk about Shamar James. Something happened in 2023, right? That's not being talked about. We don't know. We can only speculate. But unfortunately, this is the I guess the consequence of infighting or whatever be going on inside them walls. It's gonna be hard because we talking about Montreal is solid, right? Montreal is solid. He is. Trayon Webb is the guy that obviously, he's more of a thunderback. He's more of a big back, even though he ain't much bigger. I think Montreal might outweigh him by like 10 pounds or 10, 11 pounds, whatever. But it's the reality. It's the reality of college football right now. We're talking about Florida because that's who we talk about. That's who we root for. This is going on in Clemson. This is going on at USC, Trojans, and Gamecocks. It's going to be players transferring from teams like USF, unfortunately. They think they got greener pastures out there. But Billy Napier knew this. Billy Napier knew that when this season is over and they did them exit meetings, he looked some of these players in the face and said, hey, man, what you think? And it was like, hey, man, coach, you know, I'm gonna sit down with my family and all this. But that's where we at. I mean, I don't know if there's not going to be a silver lining in this. What Florida's going to have to use now is this leverage that the little that it has to try to get some big time players in, not counting the 2024 recruiting class. But this is the reality, man. And you know, Etienne is one of the best players on the team. So I mean, you know, but the thing is, right? I'm gonna say this: as great as everybody was, how many games did we win with them? And how many games did you lose with them? And the reason why I say that is when players, they got big time. Etienne is a big time talent. I think Kingsley first, second. I don't know if he first or second team all SEC, big time talent. But no matter what, you got to replace them. And I know that's easy for me to say sitting over here, but I tell people this: going into my junior year, we had to replace Lito, we had to replace Riche, we had to replace Tebow, we had to replace Alex Brown, we had to replace Gerard Warren, we had to replace Mike Pearson. I mean, so when people say, and last time I checked, friends, ain't none of these players like that. The guys I just mentioned. I mean, listen, we sitting there in Miami, them boys got their hats on, and we don't realize they leaving. We didn't realize nothing. When we got back, we like, dang, man, we finna come back junior year, man. We gonna be nice. Man, please. That was the longest drive over 95 North I've ever had. That's the first time I hated the internet because it said Steve Spurrier is going to Washington. I'm like, what the hell? What's Steve Spurrier? Steve Spurrier Jr.? No, the Steve Spurrier you just saw. So Steve Spurrier hit the transfer portal too, except it was a 5 years, 25 mil to go coach. So all I'm saying is because I've been through it, nobody's finna feel sorry for us. Billy Napier better figure it out. And guess what? Billy Napier, and I ain't counting nobody's money, but Billy Napier has probably made more money in 2 years than Coach Spurrier made at Florida. Whole time. Now, you know, so all I'm saying is $7.2 million. You better do something. Ain't nobody finna feel bad for you. So I just know it is rough, but hey, man, it's a Thursday. It's a Thursday night in December. And this is what we're dealing with right now. Everybody got these long-winded statements now. It's guys playing when they leave, and which it is. And I ain't poking fun at it. But friends, unfortunately, man, you're gonna have to show me something new. Like I said, I went from Coach Spurrier to Ron Zook. So I went from the Learjet to the crop duster. But guess what? And we watered the plants, man. We watered those plants. And they was, you know, so I'm just saying, if you still there, this your opportunity to play. If you still at Florida and you want a spot, here go your spot. Because like I said, I want you to see where some of these players gonna land and if they ever get starting playing time again. Well, some of them got enough talent like Shamar James and Etienne and Princely, but man, hey man, we got to deal with it. This is the necessary evil, and stop thinking it's because coaches got fired and we ain't got a winning record. Because guess what? It's teams that got great records, and they hitting the portal too. So, hey man,
well said.
Keep thinking.
Franz,
Keep thinking of the whole game.
Yeah, Franz had a really good column today, and he brought up the Princely thing and says Princely draws a line in the sand. Princely, even in Ellen, however you say his name, Florida's only consistent pass rusher off the edge, announced he's in the NCAA transfer portal Wednesday. Later in the day, Princely responded to a tweet by saying he would consider returning to Florida for the 2024 season if the Gators made the right hires on the defensive side of football. He also noted his decision has nothing to do with money, that's an interesting perspective, Franz, that suddenly people are leveraging the coachings they have in the portal.
Well, there's a lot of leveraging going on everywhere. Mac Brown talking about today with The Athletic, he said every kid that he's talked to in the portal has his hand out saying, where's the money? Where's the money? And we're in a dangerous spot right now with college football. I will say this because we have an idiot running. We replaced the village idiot, Mark Emmert at the NCAA with one who's even worse in Charlie Baker. Charlie Baker's decision is, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that everybody that has a huge endowment, or Jed Clampett or somebody like that with oil gazillionaires, they can have their sports and so forth like that. We have no direction, and there's a real problem with it. There's almost 3,000 kids in the portal right now. That's ridiculous.
The number today that I saw from online was 1,400 and something accurate count. I don't know. There's all I've heard. 3,000. I've heard 1,000. But this is a source that Feinbaum quoted. Apparently, there are people who count these things. And I gave Ben the number a minute ago. It's like 1,402 or something like that. 155 of them for the SEC. But I don't know how to keep this score. How do we keep up with this stuff, friends? It's too much going on.
Well, there is too much going on, and I, what I've seen so far is that the number varies because of you got all these kids from the lower division who are also looking at it. Let's see, the transfer portal, 1,211 from Division I. But I had heard that it's at 3,000, but whatever it is
the number I got in front of me here from Feinbaum's show. This is the quote: "The poor there's the counts these on." So again, we don't know. This is so confusing. It's like I told you.
Yeah, it is.
The worst thing is we get no information. We don't know what's going on. Things take a dive. It's a dark day today for Gator Nation. And no one speaks about it. No one comes out and says, the ship is sinking, but we're going to go down with it. I mean, where's the leadership? I guess it's impossible for coaches to say anything. It seems to me someone should be able to take on the role of give us an update on what's going on and how things are taking shape, because we are totally in the dark, and fans are getting kind of upset about
it. The fans should be upset, and the problem is there is no leadership. The conference commissioners can only do so much. It's up to the people. As long as we're members of the NCAA has got to provide direction, and they have provided none. So forth. It's one thing. Here's the thing. Somebody texted me today and said Charlie Baker's proposal is the dance band on the Titanic's playing Nearer My God to Thee. Here you have a ship that's sinking, and all he can do is play Nearer My God to Thee. Where is it's one thing to talk about the future and we're going to change to give a new Division I and all this. What are you doing right now?
There's a certain truth to that, Franz. And I think if you go back to last year, including getting in the portal, or even going back to 3 years ago, being behind on facilities, Florida seems to be a half a beat slow on everything. The facilities, getting into the portal, getting the NIL money. I mean, they've had some hiccups along the way. And this has set them back, man, a lot, these little hiccups. And it seems like it gets the feeling nothing's being done up there.
Well, here's the thing that I get the feeling of. You got kids who are transferring. I think Ben hit the nail on the head earlier when he said something's going on there. Now, here, I'll give you an example of something I heard today from somebody who I think knows. He said that one of the offensive coaches specializes in berating players in public. Just absolutely rails on them and cusses at them, calls them every name in the book, and you name it, like that. If that's the case, there's something really wrong with what's going on in the coaching staff. When you got a guy like Princely, who, quite frankly, is the best defensive player Florida's got, and a kid who could go to the NFL, but instead is saying, I'm going to transfer. What's he saying? He's saying, I need to get coached up somewhere. I'm not getting it here. Okay, that's like a five, a 5 alarm fire right there.
Yeah, it is.
And telling you something. When your best player, and you got to know he's had that conversation with Billy, and he can't be satisfied right now that anything's getting done. So he says, throw my hands up in the air, and I'm leaving, buddy. But you choose something about what we've talked about, and I'll think about it.
Yeah, Ben says they won't hold a spot for him if he leaves. I don't know. We got Matt Quartararo on the corner. Franz, you sound horrible, by the way. Hope you get better.
Well, I got it. Somebody told me today that I not only had a frog in my throat, I had the whole pond full of them in there.
Yeah, you got a horn toad. I would say you're gonna need to get some honey and some lemon and some hot water. We'll take it easy on your vocal cords. Let's do this for a second. Matt Quartararo wrote a nice piece today about some of the people who entered the portal who the Gators are made offers to, which I've not seen. I'll bring him aboard and I'll read this list. I think that's what people want to know. Who have they made offers to? Here's our fine young recruiting analyst. The guy who's done a terrific job for us this year, Matt Quartararo. Good evening to you, Matt. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
All right. Say hello to Ben and Franz.
Ben and Franz? Franz, I think you sound great. Little hoarse, but.
Give us a rendition of My Way. We'll test it out and see. Right? So Matt, this story you got, I can't pronounce these names. Oregon safety, Trickweezy Bridges is one of the guys. Ohio State safety, Cameron Martinez. Obviously, they're looking for safeties. Penn State defensive tackle, Joey Slackman. Kansas State cornerback, Will Lee. I've heard about him. And those are three that they are after. Now, they're having some visits this weekend, I understand it too. What can you tell us about these people who have been offered? And tell us a little more about what you know.
Yeah, so the transfer portal window opened up early this week. Obviously, we've heard all the news of who's entered and who's already decided to go different places. The Gators have reached out to numerous players. The list that I put out today, or it may have been yesterday, that is just a couple of the players that they have offered. They have only offered a couple players, at least publicly. Typically, it's made public from the players themselves about whether or not they've been offered. So at this point, I would expect that Florida has offered more. So far, it's been very, very defensive heavy in terms of who they've offered, which is obvious. A lot of defensive players are leaving to in the entire nation. And he'll be on campus. He'll be in Gainesville this weekend. There are two others. I don't remember exactly who off the top of my head. They'll also be in Gainesville. So Billy Napier and his staff have done a great job. You have to hop on it early because these players will start to commit, very, very quickly. It doesn't exactly bode great for Florida that they still don't have a defensive line coach or a defensive backs coach when these players are going to be on campus. But hopefully that's something that will start to pick up and progress a little bit as things flow here through the offseason.
Matt, does it feel a little bit? And I asked Franz the same question. Like Billy's a tick behind on this or not? It feels like that's what he's been all the way, a little bit slow to the uptake. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Obviously, the calendar's kind of limited because there are certain windows when you could do things and certain windows when your action is limited. I think that not having coaching vacancies at this point as the transfer window is open is really going to hurt them, and very well may be the reason that we lose someone like Prince Umanmielen, who entered and teased the fact that he would be welcome to come or willing to come back to Florida depending on who their hire is. But who knows? Who knows? If Florida takes a little time to make this hire, he may have made the decision to go somewhere else, as Franz had mentioned, somewhere where he knows that he could get coaching that he needs to make it to the next level.
Speaking of which, guys, coaching, I mean, we keep seeing the one name consistently of who Florida's going after. Let's start with Franz and work our way around to Ben and Matt, and give us what's the best bet that you hear, especially in the secondary and the defensive side of the ball where you lost two coaches. What name keeps popping up, Matt, that you've heard?
So one of the ones that on the defensive line has popped up is Ed Orgeron. There's been a lot of rumors about it. There's nothing, too solid about it so far. From my perspective, that would be a great hire just for the recruiting aspect of it. Obviously, was a fantastic coach at LSU for a long time and was very successful before that. So I think that him joining the program, I think that gets a guy like Umar Mielen to stay. A couple other guys will trickle in from that. But the one that I want to focus on is the defensive backs coach, Will Harris, who is currently an assistant with the Chargers. And he was extremely successful at Washington, had an All-American 4 straight years while he was there, led some of the most successful secondaries during his time there with the Huskies. So that he's been someone that the Gators have targeted. He came out earlier this week as the primary interest, but again, we're seeing some slow development here with that, which isn't great as players are coming in on campus for visits and things like that. So hopefully that timeline picks up. But I really like Will Harris for the spot.
France, what are you hearing of?
Well, Will Harris to me is I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. He's an assistant secondary coach, not the secondary coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. And while I appreciate that he's in there, I think they need a splash hire. I think they need 2 splash hires on that defensive staff. Ed Orgeron, everybody seems to say that's, smoke and no fire. I'd love Coach O to come here, but I've always believed that if Coach O coaches again, it'll be with his best buddy Lane Kiffin up at Ole Miss. DJ Durkin is the guy that they need to get in the worst way on the defensive line. He's a guy that's been here before, coached for Urban, has been a head coach before. His Aggie defense this year finished 9th in the country, 1st in the SEC. When he was at Florida, his defenses were top-notch when he was working with Will Muschamp, and he's a lights-out recruiter. He's a no-nonsense guy, and I think that's definitely what they've got to have. I think they got to have a guy that's no-nonsense. Stick your nose in there and take and play with the big boys, or else you're not going to play.
I'm sorry.
The guy I really would love to get here for them to get, I know there has been contact with him, but I don't know how extensive the contact has gone, is the former defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, Jim Leonhard. And talk about a guy that really can inspire people. Walk on who makes All-America first team 3 years at Wisconsin, undrafted NFL, plays 10 years and makes the Pro Bowl. And his defense for 4 consecutive years at Wisconsin, 3 of which a guy named, all 4 of which, guy named Graham Mertz was there with, finished top 4 in the country, including leading the country. He is a splash hire. Will Harris, I realize he may be a very competent coach, but they need somebody, they need a tourniquet, and I don't think that guy's a tourniquet right now. The blood is flowing. Somebody give us a tourniquet.
All right, I'm going to do this real fast. I want Ben to weigh in on the coaching situation. I don't see Ed Orgeron. I don't have any information. The only thing I could say was Ed Orgeron doesn't need money. So if they can make a sweetheart deal for him for $1 million a year or whatever, $800,000, get him here for a couple of years, maybe it'd be worth it. First, let me tell you about Titan MRI. Worth the short drive to Gainesville. No insurance is no problem. You can pay with cash or a card. Same day scheduling available. You start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location from Ocala, Marion County, the Villages, and many other places. That's TitanMRI.com. All right, Ben, who's your coach?
I do agree with Matt. I did hear a lot about the whole Ed Orgeron thing when you talk about the D line. I don't know how serious it is, because the thing about a D line coach in Florida, you got to have some level of, you got to have a resume suitable enough when you think about the other two schools on the Panhandle down south that you got to be able to recruit against. But as far as like safeties, and I'm going to keep saying this, they need to go get Marquand Manuel. I'm telling you, he can coach. Now, I don't know if he can recruit. But this is a guy who obviously played there, but one guy got to come back from the league. That's the one thing that you notice that a lot of coaching staffs are doing now. They're bringing a former NFL coach. Marquand can coach he got to be a D coordinator slightly when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. Now I know he's with the New York Jets. For most players, it's hard for them to transition from playing to coaching. Marquand, to me, he's done it really, really well. Another guy who I think got good experience. I mean, I know he ain't on nobody's radar. The DB coach for the Arizona Cardinals is a dude named Marcus Robinson. He's another guy. Because the thing about these DBs, I can deal with the D-line. I really don't know what's happened to Florida's DBs the last 3 or 4 years. We got the talent, got the pedigree, don't got the execution, don't got the result. And it makes it look like, like no one's really talking about. And I mean, obviously, Corey Raymond showed just how bad it's gotten.
I couldn't believe Corey Raymond. No, I thought he was going to be the answer.
I mean, but let's just say this, though. Let's just call it what it is. It's as hard to get a D-line coach and a DB coach as it is to get players in. You don't think people can see, hey, man, if I come here in Florida and I mess this up, I might not get another shot. So when you come here, unless you got a strong resume, you might never put yourself in this position again, but it is intriguing enough that you're going to at least give it when I heard the Ed Ogeron thing, I was intrigued, but but this ain't 2019 LSU either. Yeah. This ain't, Joe Burrow and them ain't running out, the locker room. But I just think for Florida, man, it just shows where we at right now to the point where, you got to look for a scapegoat. So you're going to go with Corey Raymond and Sean Spencer. Okay, we can live with that. Yeah. But who are you going to replace him with?
Yeah, that's the question.
Because now the replacement is I can't get my best defensive player to come back. He's in the transfer portal. I mean, Kamari Wilson, obviously it never panned out. Finally got an IMG commit. He's gone. Mm-hmm. It's necessary problems, though. It is University of Florida. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. Hell, we could be 13-0, not going to the Natty. Just had to throw that in there by them boys over there in Tallahasse and Athens.
That's cold, man. That's really cold.
Right, I'm just saying. But I just know that now Billy Napier, before he could do anything else, he got to get them coaches in. Because man, the guy you mentioned, the big D tackle, who the hell gonna coach me? So if I do sign, I'm gonna do this off of hope and a wish. No, man, I got to know: one, can he get me drafted? Two, does he have stripes in the NFL, or does he have credibility in college football? Because unfortunately for us, the hot shot coach, we don't want to say Coach Armstrong killed that. And I know he's a brand new D coordinator.
What we're hearing, and Matt, you comment on this. This is just, again, around the edges. I don't have this. Is that there was some disagreement. The veteran coaches weren't really too hot on Austin Armstrong. I don't know because he was young. I don't know what was going on, but Spencer, and Raymond apparently let it be known that they didn't particularly like his defense. That's one story, Matt. I'll let you address that. And the other thing is, Billy's a little bit of a lame duck. If I'm a big-time coach, I'm going to say, I ain't going there for a one-year contract. You give me 3 or 4. How much will that play into it, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that there was tension amongst the coaches. I think when Armstrong first came in, number one, because of his age, number two, he's a very animated guy, and we've seen that on the sideline. That's not really the style that some of these older coaches are used to. So there was definitely not tension or anything like that, but there was definitely some adjusting to get used to, and I think over time that did happen. As for Napier, I mean, I think Ben and Franz both hit the nail on the head. You need a splash hire. You need these guys to want to be here and feel comfortable in the coaches that they had. And while I agree with Ben, I thought that Corey Raymond may have been great to bring back. He did a good job at LSU, and he was a good recruiter. And it's the same thing with Napier. It's time that you get guys that are going to stay here for a while. If you want this, if you want this program to get back up there, it can't be 2 and 3 year cycles at every coaching position. Will be the laughing stock of the SEC for the next 10 years.
Yeah. And Matt, before I let you get out of here and go, you're a student there, graduated actually, and now and you also work at a local watering hole. Is that correct? And you hear a lot of people. I don't know where you were. You hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You hear people talking a lot. So what is all the buzz around campus and in the watering hole about what's happening in Florida, and how upset or concerned are the Gator fans in Gainesville?
I mean, obviously there's concern. Couple tough seasons in a row. I think the biggest thing, and FSU getting left out of the playoff, by the way, has helped the attitude around here a lot. But I think the biggest thing, a lot of people are frustrated with the transfer portal and the way that whole thing's going. And while some people are kind of jumping at Billy Napier for his inability to keep them, I've seen a lot or heard a lot, but I've also seen a lot on social media. A lot of people are kind of just blaming the way that college football is working today. These players aren't buying into the 4-year program or 3-year program like they used to. And I forget exactly who it was on Twitter. It was a former Gator, was kind of going back and forth about Etienne wanting out of here and how that's not Gator for life, like that living that way. And it's all an adjustment. We're all adjusting. The transfer portal's new. It's just going to be a different landscape for a while, and I'm hoping, as are the people here in Gainesville, that Billy Napier can kind of adjust to it. The issue is that how long is that leash that you're willing to give him, and then at the same time, if it doesn't work out for Napier, does that mean that Strickland's gone, and then we're looking for an AD who's then going to hire a new coach? So it's a Hail Mary here.
It's getting down to the question, Franz and Ben and Matt, who's going to go first if things go bad? Strickland or Napier? I heard a guy today who's connected to some big money people who says they think it might be Strickland first. Franz, what do you hear?
Well, people are not happy with Scott as far as Billy Napier, and that's what it really comes down to. I think people have seen the light with Todd Golden, and they believe that the basketball program is going to go lights out. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is. It really is. I was talking with Mike Eads, the director of officials for the SEC, who said, right now they're not top 25, but he says they'll be top 10 or 15 in February. That's how much he thinks about it. But people are upset with Scott, and it all comes down to the Billy Napier hire. That he hired Dan Mullen, didn't close the deal on getting Chip Kelly, hired Dan Mullen. That didn't work out. Now people are looking at this as an 0 for 3 for Scott Strickland if Billy doesn't turn it around. But I will say this, from a standpoint of raising money for facilities and having a vision, there was no plan for the future when he took over. And I know that from people who were on the board. There was no written plan for the future, for facilities for 10 years. There was no extended plan, none at all. And he's put together a plan for that. So he's not a failure in that respect. But people are still going to judge you by your football hire, period. People are going to judge you by your football hire. At Kentucky, it's going to be by your basketball hire. At Florida, it's going to be by your football hire. And right now, from a football standpoint, people are seeing Scott as an 0 for 3 right now. And this is time. This is truly time to come up with something big for Billy Napier and for Scott Strickland both. Billy's, I'm convinced, is here through 2025. But if he doesn't win 7 ball games next year, I can tell you 2025 is going to be like Will Muschamp 2014, just a matter of time before they pull the rug out from under him.
All right. Let your voice rest for a second. Let's say good night to Matt. And I want to get a take from Ben. on what the fix needs to be. Thank you, Matt. Great job. Keep up the good work, my friend. All right.
Of course. You guys have a good night.
Thanks a lot, buddy. All right. Well, they're bright young guys right there in Matt Quartero. Franz, and Ben, what do you think what do you think the former, and you can't speak for all of them, the former players that you talk to feel about making a change either in the AD or the head coach?
Oh, from the former player standpoint, it's always going to be the AD, because we understand that AD's job is going to be an easier fix than that of a head coach of Florida. And the thing about a guy like Scott Strickland was, let's call it what it is. He got Dan Mullen because he hired Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. So he comes over here, hey, man, let me just get the same guy I had.
He didn't really want him at first.
Well, but the thing is, expectations in Mississippi, expectations in Starkville ain't the same as expectations in Gainesville. Yeah, and I get it. I get it. Dan Mullen had Mississippi State #1 at one point. Yeah, he had Dak and he had, Nick Fitzgerald and all that. But when you talk about what's going on, it's going to be Scott Strickland, for the simple fact that what Scott Strickland used to have at his advantage is not. And that's perception. Oh, at first, we just got it. That's over with. And that has a lot to do with what's going on in Tallahassee. See, I know they ain't going to the National, but if you would have asked who's a better hire, Norvell or Napier, people would have said Napier. Well, so I just think that, because let's face it, Florida's always going to get judged nationally, and they're going to get judged, geographically in the state of Florida. And when you look at what's going on, next year Florida plays Miami, UCF, Florida. They play like the whole freaking state. So 2024, you ain't going to be able to hide, not even in the state. Forget Texas and Georgia and the usual suspects. So far, I think it is going to be Scott Strickland, because at the end of the day, Scott Strickland is known more for what happens after football season and what happens during the season. And you can't keep a job like that. At Kentucky and these other places, you can. Yeah. It can't be, because you got nothing against them, but because, you got a golf national champion and almost got a World Series, and where your bread is buttered on is in 90,000. Yeah. And when it's 5 and whatever, it all, how it is, friends. Unfortunately, Jerry Jones is the only person that's safe in sports, because he's the owner and the president and the GM. Well, I think it's the GM. I think his son is the president. It don't go like that. And I said this. Scott Strickland is coming behind Jeremy Foley. You talk about big shoes to fill. That's who you're replacing. So that's what it's spoiling is. Love Spurrier, but Jeremy Foley, he had Spurrier, right? And then you talking about I just think that for a guy like Scott Strickland, everybody wants a job in Florida until you get it. And people say, hey, man, what are we getting for having you? Well,
but let's face it, Ben. Jeremy didn't hire Steve Spurrier. He did hire Ron Zook. He did hire Will Muschamp. He did hire Jim McElwain. Now, and let's face it, did he hire Urban Meyer? No, Bernie Matchin hired Urban Meyer. That's a fact. Jeremy gets a lot of credit, and rightfully so, for the way the entire program was run. But facilities were run down. Badly run down. There was no plan for the future. And some would say that Jeremy's lieutenants let him down greatly, and I could probably I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I would say that Jeremy was not well served by the people underneath him in many, many respects. But all that being said, he still oversaw a 20-year run of Florida athletics that was highly successful, that did produce 3 national championships in football, that did produce 2 national championships in basketball, and a whole bunch of others. So Jeremy is going to get a mulligan, even if he did leave the program when from a facilities and money standpoint in bad shape. He's going to get a mulligan. Scott's not going to get that mulligan until somebody from football or basketball wins national championship. I hear your lips.
I'm gonna be compelled to see Franz, because I think when it comes to these ADs, Scott Strickland is not in the same boat as a lot of these other guys. Like, look, man, the expectations here, it's great that you make money after football season, but all you do is chew popcorn and drink Coke during the season, and you drink Gatorade. That's not gonna work. Because when people talk about NILs, if you ain't bringing home the bacon during football season, that money will dry up. Them NIL people say, look, I don't mind throwing money in there as long as we're winning in football. If we're not winning in that, I'm sorry. No, I mean, so that's so when people ask about the Michigans and the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Georgia, they're winning. They don't mind throwing their money into a winning program.
I agree with that.
You got to win in a hurry and often.
Okay, guys, here's one to sleep on. Friends, you can answer that question. I'll give each of you a minute to answer this, respond to it, so we won't go all night because we could. I was told today by a guy who's very connected in the Panhandle, a guy I've known for a lot of years. He says the big boys are talking about trying to get Urban Meyer back. Even though we know Urban said he doesn't want to coach. He says they feel like if he would come in here and get fix it and coach 3 years and all would be good. I told him I didn't think that would ever happen. But what would happen if Florida got Urban Meyer and Urban Meyer hired his consultant, Steve Spurrier? What about that, Ben?
I mean, obviously it's a great headline. It's great. It's great for news media. It's great for clicks. But the whole thing about it is, ain't no Tebows running out of there. Ain't no Percy Harvin's running out of there. And the thing is, as great as those are the two greatest, right? Urban and Coach Spurrier. But this is the thing: the world that they're coming into now. You're dealing with players that have leverage, and they got handlers who are negotiating for them behind the scenes. So I would love to see it, but I think everybody wants that old thing back, right? Everybody, let's just get the band back together. Man, please. They can still play. They can't play a whole set. They can play. How many songs? 10. No, we can't do 10. Now we can do 3. So and no one wants, you know this, friends, no one wants to tarnish their legacy. No. My legacy is intact. I come back now because it's everybody. Listen, Georgia would love for Coach Spurrier to come back. They would love for these coaches to come back so they can say, I appreciate the fact that we have glory years and Netflix specials and legacies now, but it's a different world now. Coach Spurrier was ahead of his time because he had to spread offense when nobody was doing it. Now everybody's doing it. Everybody. They don't even get under center. And Urban Meyer is saying, look, man, I'm used to flying on jets, man. You're not finna give me that jet that you just pulled that freaking tarp off. Nope. No, I want the new one. And they ain't gonna give him the new one. They're gonna give Billy Napier the new one or whatever. So I would love to see it, but Coach Spurrier is too honest. Yeah. In the politically correct world we live in today, Coach Spurrier gonna get canceled after the first press conference because he's telling the truth. So love him, but no, man, they almost too good to be true if that happened, man. Steve Spurrier Jr. maybe, Urban Meyer Jr. maybe. No, not the originals. Not the originals.
All right, Ben. Thank you, buddy. Let you go to bed. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, the great Ben Troupe. All right, Francis, take us home. I'm writing about. Listen, I searched my soul today and thought, at a time like this, well, there's nothing you can say that would really change the hearts or the mood of the Gator Nation, who's in a dark place right now. I thought to myself, well, what do you do? There's nothing there to write about. I thought you go back to the glory days. The glory days when life was good and Gator fans were enjoying it. And so I said, what is the epitome of the glory days? It's Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was named to the Hall of Fame this week. It's the final straw and the canonization of the greatest football player Florida ever had. So that's my task I've been working on for all day. When I leave here, I'll go work on Tim Tebow. You and I saw him. We were all the way through almost every play he ever took. And now we appreciate how great how grateful we should be and are that we were able to see this guy play, and not only that, become a world-class citizen. Your thoughts ended up on a positive note, Tim Tebow.
Well, you know, I saw every play, every snap Tim Tebow ever took at Florida. I was there for it, from day one to the end, and every time there was an open practice, I saw that too. We need a Tim Tebow in this program, and if you remember, Urban was on a plane, and he's told by his co-defensive coordinator and defensive line coach, if we don't get him, it'll set the program back 10 years. And Urban's cold, and they're in Pennsylvania waiting for Greg Madison. Yeah, they're waiting for the plane to take off. And Urban says, I don't want to hear it. And Madison leans toward him and says, 10 years, Urban. 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, as we saw, we got 4 good years out of Tim Tebow. We need 4 good years right now. I know everybody's thinking, wow, how great would it be to get 10 good years?
Yeah.
We had 20 from 1990 to 2009. We had 20 good ones. And got to admit, since 2010, it's not been very good here. And we're at a point where we've got to make some really good decisions.
Yeah.
We got to make good decisions with the head coach, athletic director, coaching hires. We got to make some really good decisions. We got to bring in a Tim Tebow. We got to bring in that lightning rod that is there. He's a magnet for every good thing that you can think of with college football, and we need that here.
Well, speaking of
and I think if we can find another Tim Tebow out there.
Yeah, excuse me. I think speaking of good decisions, your throat's about to go out. We're losing you on the Wi-Fi, and we're past time. So now would be a good time to say good night. Thank you for everything. Well done. Look forward to reading your column next couple of days. Good column today. The great Franz Beard, the Iron Duke, bringing it. Playing hurt tonight. Thank you, Franz.
Thanks.
All right, folks, wrap it up with our word about our friends at Vinstar Medical Research, which we always do. We appreciate. Save the best to last. These folks have been generous to us, sponsoring our program for almost 6 years. They also are a great citizen here in Ocala. They do things in the community. And they also have a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility right here in downtown Ocala that brings cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala and things like Alzheimer's, dementia, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraine, fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect us right here in this community. And they're running these clinical trials to trying to find out how to treat these things. And you can apply to renstar.net and maybe become a part of that to get your information that they can then send on to biomedical and pharmaceutical companies as they continue to partner with leading people in the medical industry. Renstar has been doing this since 1998. They've done more than 700 clinical trials. Check them out. Go to renstar.net. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thanks to our guests tonight. Good show. Thanks to you for listening and watching. We'll catch you back tomorrow with Urban Meyer on Best Friends in Football.